Hello, my name is Madeline Reynolds, and I will be walking you through our new app, Bizlingo. Now, some of you may be asking yourselves, what is Bizlingo? Bizlingo is a vocabulary app that is focused on helping young professionals learn the jargon and terminology specific to their chosen career field. I want to introduce you to our primary persona and our target user, Morgan Brooks. Morgan is a law student who also works as a paralegal in order to get experience in her field while she is studying to become a lawyer. She is a young woman who is married, but with no children as she's currently focused on her career. She lives in a metropolitan area like Chicago, Philadelphia, Seattle, and her education level is that she has acquired a bachelor's degree, but is currently working on a higher education degree. Now, what she needs from this app. She wants to learn vocabulary that is specific to her field of study and her career. If she had something that was a little too broad, she'd run the risk of learning words that maybe didn't apply to her and her job, words she didn't really need to learn, and so she wants it to be very targeted. She wants to familiarize herself with jargon and terminology that she will specifically encounter in her workplace. And so she wants to learn these terms quickly and in small doses because, as you saw from her profile, she is working and she's a student, so she's got a very busy schedule, and she wants to fit in this learning around those other activities, meetings, classes, but then she also still needs to have time for leisure activities and connecting with friends and family. She wants to get plenty of repetition and practice so she can commit the new words to memory, and doing so in a way that contextualizes these new words so that she can use them in her work and at school in a way that she feels confident about. And so, what was the problem we were trying to solve with Bizlingo? Well, in the case of Morgan Brooks, Morgan, a paralegal and law school student, needs a way to learn and study the terminology and jargon specific to her career field so that she can enter into her job with confidence and knowledge to communicate with colleagues and clients effectively. Our hypothesis when creating Bizlingo is that we believe by creating a vocabulary app that allows you to filter by a specific career field or profession, we will achieve a targeted experience that allows Morgan and other young professionals like her to move into the next phase of their career with not only knowledge, but confidence. And a quote from our primary persona. I'm someone who's constantly learning. I took a job in the field so that I could fully immerse myself as I work to become a lawyer and learn by doing. Because of this, in my day job, I sometimes come across areas that I've either already studied in school or that I haven't quite gotten to yet. Practice is important for me, and learning things that I can put into context and application in both my daily work and my studies. So, as we were starting out, we created these user flows for different things that Morgan would be doing when setting up the app and using the app. So on the left, you'll see we've got the flows for creating an account, signing up, or if you already have an established account, logging into that account. And then on the right here, you'll see a user flow map for a study block, which is one of the main activities and tools in Bizlingo that allows users to practice and learn different words through activities. And so you see here we've got the initial wireframes that then made up our prototype. We've got a splash page, we've got the sign in, and if you don't have an account, we have the different pages for creating that account. You could sign up using a pre-existing Google account, LinkedIn account, or Facebook account, or you can sign up via email. We wanted to be sure to have LinkedIn as one of those options since this is such a career-centric app. And so when signing up, as you can see to the right there, you can select your career field, and we do have a list of common picks. You can see Morgan's pick right there at the top with legal, but then if yours doesn't fall into one of those categories, we do have a list of other options that comes down in a drop-down menu, but then you can also add a custom entry if your career field is a little more specific and nuanced. You can also add your job title, but this is completely optional and not needed to continue with the app. And then once you've gotten past that part and have your account all set up, we've got the onboarding process. And so you can see on the bottom row there some of the messages that you'll be seeing as you use the app for the first time after creating that account. And so here we've got a little more onboarding, but then once you're all set up, we have the wireframes for a study block. Which, as I mentioned previously, that's one of the main activities. That's how you're going to learn, repeat, and really exercise those learning muscles to learn these new terms and commit them to memory. And so, once the prototype had been created with these low-fidelity wireframes, I had recruited 3 participants, and I interviewed them in person, over the phone, and over Zoom. Each interview itself took about 10 minutes, and I had the participants complete these direct tasks, which then do translate into scenario tasks quite easily. And so those tasks were signing up or creating an account, initiating a study block, searching for a word and adding it to their favorites list, and uploading a word and their own definition. It was important for me to test out the main functionalities of the app with this prototype, not only because these would be the features that would be used most by users, but it also would give me the chance to observe whether or not it was easy to navigate across these different features of the app. And so, after completing this testing, one of the most important pieces of feedback that I received was one of the participants had actually pointed out that after when you initiate a study block and you click on the option, select new words, there was no way to navigate back if you changed your mind and maybe wanted to stick with the initial 5 words that the app had randomly selected for you. There was only an X button that then takes you back to the main home screen. And so not only does that get kind of frustrating if you want to stay within the study block, but also you run the risk of losing those 5 words, because then when you open up the study block, it'll randomize 5 new words, and you may not get those same words. So, in addition to this, and other pain points or areas of confusion that my candidates ran into, they also provided me with some really great suggestions for what they'd like to see in an app like this, and they also asked really thoughtful questions about parts of the app that had not quite yet been built out in the initial prototype, sections that didn't have a wireframe yet, and so this allowed me to make further improvements and iterate upon my prototype. And so as we can see here, one of the first revisions and one of the, as I said, the most important was fixing that issue with navigation when it comes to the selection of your words for the study block. So in the top left, you can see what it initially looked like. Again, it had that X for going back to the home screen, and that was your only option. After getting that feedback, I added a back icon to navigate back to the initial list. And then rather than sticking with an X for going back home, I switched it based on some other feedback that participant had provided me of, instead of using an X, making it look like a house symbol to represent home in a more positive way. In addition to the options of randomizing a new list or having the user select their own list of words, I also added, based on some more feedback that I received, a hybrid option where users could select some words that they knew they wanted to study in the study block, but then have the app pick the rest if they didn't have a full 5. And so to the right there, you can see what that looks like, adding words to study in your study block. There are 5 rows, but even if you're doing the hybrid option, it's going to look like this. And then say you have 2 words you know you want to add to your study block, but maybe you want to let the app choose the rest, randomize it. You would just fill in those first 2 bars, hit save, and then the app does the rest for you, and you'll have 5 words to study no matter what. Now, down at the bottom, based on some feedback from the usability tests, I also added favoriting, an example of what favoriting a word looks like to the onboarding process. This previously had not been part of onboarding, and this just allows users to see what it looks like. And in addition, I also added a wireframe for the favorites list itself so that we could get a better look at how it's going to look overall and how those favorites are going to be organized. In terms of building out more wireframes, you can see to the right of that, I also built out the stats page of Bizlingo, and this shows what that's ultimately going to look like. It tracks your progress, and it also keeps track of the words that you've really gotten down, that you have mastery over, versus the words that need a little more work and need more focus, and this can allow you to directly review those. So what are next steps now that we've done this usability testing, received that important feedback, and made the revisions to the prototype? So, with the feedback from the user interviews and the usability testing, my next steps are going to be to continue building out any other pages or areas of the app that were not fully represented by the initial prototype. Once this has been completed, I will be meeting with fellow designers on my team, including UI designers, to further refine the app and create a higher fidelity version of the prototype, and then we can use this new version, this new prototype, to do some more testing and receive more feedback. This will then provide us with further data to bring back to our stakeholders as we continue to improve upon the app until we have a finished product that is ready for launch. Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day.